What's happening, everyone? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Hope everyone's doing well today. We're going to talk about 5 more hidden gems in the comic book medium that I absolutely adore and have reread multiple times that I highly recommend you check out. Let's dive in. If you're a fan of comic books, be sure to subscribe. This is what we do. We post videos regularly talking about comic books. We do live streams as well. Love talking to you guys, doing some Q&As and just talking about hot topics in the comic book world. Check out Dr. Squatch. They're one of our sponsors. They're fantastic. They're a soap subscription company. They do also sell like hand sanitizer now and other men's healthcare grooming products, things like that. Paraben free, chemical free, really nice soaps. Matt uses them, absolutely loves them. With the link down in the description below, you'll get free shipping on your order for the entirety of your subscription as long as you decide to keep it free shipping, which is pretty cool. It's pretty great. And lastly, check out our Patreon. We are doing hardcover comic giveaways every month, an omnibus, absolute, multiple deluxe editions, whatever it may be, the more the merrier. Check out the link down in the description below for more details on that. Let's talk about these 5 books, 5 hidden gems. The first one is Wolfskin. This is a 3-issue miniseries. I'm going to talk about the original one. There was a sequel called Wolfskin, The 11th Hour, but the first 3 original issues, along with the annual, the first 3 issues were written by Warren Ellis with artwork by Juan Jose Rip, colors by Andrew Dalhouse. This was a little mini-series done through Avatar Press. Warren Ellis and Juan Jose Rip have done quite a few of those. I talked about No Hero, and I think part 1 or part 2 of this little series that we've been doing here. So check that out as well. But Wolfskin is about a character called Wolfskin. I mean, that's all he doesn't really have a name. That's just all he goes by. And he is a gentleman who wanders on his lonesome in the forest and in the world, and basically, has gone through the trials and tribulations of these wolfskin people who apparently eat these black mushroom caps and turn into wolves and are very fierce and noble warriors from the north. Very, very, sort of a Viking style character. And he encounters this little village run by this Noi man. Noi is of Asian descent, it seems like, and basically sort of gets wrapped up in the drama. He kills a few of the Noi leader's men, and he now owes him a favor. What's cool about Wolfskin is that while it is a straight up action book for the most part, it's really cool to see again sort of the idea of prejudice and finding out all the facts and hearing all sides of the story before making a decision, and even then seeing how things can fall apart without your control or without your permission. It's really great. I love the artwork by Juan Jose Rip. It's definitely his earlier work, so you can tell that the artwork is not as clean as it has become now. His current pencils are phenomenal, but they were great back then too. Super detailed, really beautiful backgrounds and environments, and great action all throughout. Again, it's 3 issues, so you're not getting a huge storyline, but it's very, very enjoyable in my opinion. It's a nice, quick, short read that does actually have quite a few messages to it. Check it out, Wolfskin by Warren Ellis and Juan Jose Rip. As far as I'm aware, there is a hardcover. It's about $20. You can get it on Amazon around that price. So if you want it, grab it. There's also a trade paperback available on Amazon too. Next up, The Tooth. This is a story by Matt Kindt and Colin Bunn, published by Oni Press. It's a very, very fun book with Sean Lee as well. I apologize, I forgot to mention Sean Lee. A very, very fun book that really harkens back to the good old days of monsters and excitement. Very, classic Hulk feel. It's about this character called the Tooth and sort of his most current misadventures. The story follows this character named Graham, who, after a little inheritance, has now moved into a new house, and he happens to find this tooth. This tooth, he throws it away one day, the next day it's back again. Something's going on with this tooth. Turns out the tooth is actually sort of a spirit monster that chooses its hosts, and or the hosts manage to control it. It's a very fun book, and Matt Kindt's artwork, the way he really structures the entire page of the comic book looks unusual. It's not your stereotypical comic where it's white borders and panels. It's very cool. It adds to the whole experience. That is the book itself, and the book is really interesting, right? It's not like a normal comic at all. It's got all these cool, it's like sort of like a notebook, like a sketchbook from like someone's college days when they were studying, and they wrote this crazy story about a tooth monster that fights other crazy monsters, and I really enjoyed it. Matt Kint's artwork is not for everyone. I understand that, but it really suited the tone of the book, which is sort of silly, goofy. Of course, you do see villains, you do see heartbreak, you see people lose control, and you get some fantastic action with the Tooth himself. He's a great little character, and this book I highly recommend getting the hardcover, mostly because there's a great little way. If you want to get it signed, I highly recommend getting it signed by Matt, obviously, and Colin Bunn. But Matt Kint will do something very fun when he signs the book for you. I'm not going to spoil any of it. That's for you to find out. But it's a great little book that has a lot of little details added to it that make the experience so much more immersive. The next book I wanted to talk about is Green Valley. It was a 9-issue miniseries written by Max Landis with artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli and colors by Cliff Rathburn, published by Image Comics, also released in this really nice deluxe edition. 9 issues long. It was actually nominated for an Eisner for the best writer and colorist combo. So very, very cool stuff, and it's a very interesting story. I must say, Max Landis is not a person I was all that familiar with, and then he wrote Superman, American Alien, and then Green Valley shortly afterwards. So Green Valley is the story of the 4 Knights of Calodia. Calodia is a city, that's sort of created obviously for the sake of the story, and they're the 4 knights. These guys are legendary knights. They all have their own proficiency. One can shoot arrows from hundreds of meters and hit someone's ear. Another has slain dragons, and they've all fought, armies as large as 400 soldiers. So, 100 soldiers against one of them. Crazy stories. These guys are legendary knights. And one day, a little boy approaches them and says there's a wizard with dragons that is attacking his village, Green Valley. And so the Knights of Calodia head over there, but it's really, really fun. That's like the super baseline. I don't want to spoil anything. There are lots of twists and turns. It's not as straightforward as that, of course. And there's a lot of really fun ideas explored here. It's tough to do this without spoiling everything. I do want you guys to enjoy it, but across 9 issues, you do get a very thorough and enjoyable storyline with great character interactions, really heartwarming moments, heartbreaking moments, fantastic artwork by Giuseppe Camuncoli. I think he crushed it with the coloring by Cliff Rathburn. It's spectacular, absolutely beautiful book to look at. The deluxe edition is obviously the best way to collect it, the largest format, very, very nice. And I think they did a nice job with the design itself, with this green faux leather kind of style with the gold emboss in the image. It looks very cool. It looks unique on the shelf, and it's a fairly unique book. I really enjoyed it. I love the 4 characters, the Knights of Calodia. Like I said, there's a whole range of emotions. There's a whole bunch that happens here with those 4 guys, and the greatest thing is it's always fun to see that sort of fantasy medieval camaraderie and brotherhood among those the knights and the soldiers. This tight knit group, and you get plenty of that here. I can't recommend Green Valley enough. The 4th book I want to talk about is another Image Comics book. It is called User, written by Devin Grayson with artwork by Sean Phillips and John Bolton. Both of them doing separate parts of the book, different sections of the book. User is the story of role-playing games back when they were completely text-based. So me personally, I never went through this. I was born in the 90s, and this story takes place in the 90s when computers were first starting up. I do remember dial-up. I do definitely remember that, which you get to see in here. But it follows the story of this character named Meg Chancellor. And basically, she lives a very mundane life. Her family's pretty messed up. A lot of situations happening that she doesn't agree with. She feels invisible. She feels unwanted. And then she finds role-playing chat rooms on the internet. And things start spiraling off from there. And so what's really cool about this book is the art styles. I mentioned 2 artists, Sean Phillips and John Bolton. So Sean Phillips draws all the real life stuff. So whenever Meg is, going to work or interacting with her family or not role playing, Sean Phillips is doing the artwork. And then John Bolton does everything within this sort of role playing universe. And Devin Grayson, what he does with the story is absolutely ridiculous. It's so excellent. This story is really way more intricate than just being a role-playing chat room sort of, nostalgia blast. There's a lot here about identity and people figuring out who they are and sort of realizing what is real life like? What matters to you in life? Does it matter to you that, you're excelling at your job, or do you prefer this sort of life, in a virtual chat room with people who become, better friends to you than your own family even? It's a very interesting book, and I think it works for the current times as well. I mean, people are getting so immersed in their technology, in the digital world, in the virtual world, and it's a very fascinating book with beautiful artwork. I think both Sean and John Bolton do a great job. The styles are not too different, but different enough that you can obviously distinguish the two worlds. And there's some very cool design stuff that happens, transitioning between the real world um, and the digital world, this virtual chat room. It's really great. There's a lot of fun characters. And again, the message behind it and really the thoughts you'll have after reading this, it's very fascinating, and I really enjoyed reading it. This is the deluxe edition that was published by Image Comics. Again, this series was published a while ago, so this was reprinted a couple years ago. And yeah, I highly recommend checking it out. User is a fantastic story. Like I said, it was originally 3 issues, but they're pretty thick issues because this is a fairly lengthy story that I really enjoyed. It was a blind buy for me. I'd never read this story before, and I was blown away by it. Saving the best for last. I shouldn't say that, but I really do love this book the most. Six Gun Gorilla, written by Simon Spurrier, with artwork by Jeff Stokely. Oh, I love this book so much. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I've read this series. I initially read Six Gun Gorilla when it was being published. It was a 6-issue miniseries from Boom Studios that, like I said, was written by Simon Spurrier, who has become one of my favorite writers. What he can do in a miniseries, some writers can't do across 24 issues of a story. It's absolutely amazing. The world building, the character building, the language that's used, the phonetics. Masterwork. I mean, Simon Spurrier is quickly becoming one of my favorite writers. What I love about Simon Spurrier is that he takes crazy ideas and makes them sensationally compelling, and Six Gun Gorilla is just that. Six Gun Gorilla is an IP that, like, sort of like Airboy, fell to the wayside. The creators, the creators are unknown. It's actually what the book starts off with. The creators of Six Gun Gorilla are unknown, but thankfully we got this amazing book thanks to the creation of this gorilla. So the story takes place on basically what's called the Blister. The Blister is this world where there is a continuous war happening. And basically you have various groups of people. You have soldiers, you have these blues, who are basically people that want to die and get the payout money, the insurance money for dying on the battlefield. And it follows one of these blue characters who was previously a librarian, who has now decided to come be a soldier. And it turns out it's because of a woman he loved, who left him because he was too into fiction books. That's literally what you find out within like the first 2 pages. This book is so incredibly dense, like all Simon Spurrier stories. There is so much fantastic world building going on here. Of course, the war is being recorded by these folks called, these blue soldiers. They have eye implants that live stream to the entire world what's happening. And our main character here gets caught up in a huge situation where essentially he gets saved by this Six Gun Gorilla. And he now has a mission to carry out, taking a commander's pendant and delivering it to his wife. It is such a fun ride with beautiful artwork. Jeff Stokely's artwork is definitely stylized. It's definitely frantic, but I really loved it. I thought it suited the book very well. The way the gorilla looks in comparison to everyone is fantastic. The coloring is beautiful. And like I said, the story is so rich and lovely, and just the way everything's interwoven together is fantastic. Seeing, again, this sort of thing that is not too far off from our reality, and seeing all the different people even watching this and all their different reactions based on what's happening. Very interesting stuff, very fun to read, and it's, again, such a dense world that when you return to it, you keep picking up more and noticing new details in the background, and new slang and all. It's very cool. I absolutely love it. Simon Spurrier, because of this book, was a name that I started to notice a whole lot more, and I hope you guys start noticing his name a whole lot more as well. He's doing fantastic work now with Alienated. Issue number 3 actually comes out today, so be sure to check that out and pick up 1 and 2 if you can. I think they're on 4th or 5th printings at this point. His books sell like hotcakes, so can't recommend Six Gun Gorilla enough, though. I adore this book so much. Please check it out. All right, everybody, that was 5 more hidden gems for you. sticking with non-big two books for now. Of course, we're trying to break away from that superhero craziness, which is always a fun time, but it's a lot more fun to break away from that once in a while and read a short little story that can actually impact you in the way you think about your day-to-day life. But thank you all very much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. This is what we do. We post content like this regularly. This is the fourth part, so be sure to check out the first three if you're interested in more titles, if you still haven't had enough after this video. I'll keep doing these. There's obviously always more and more short stories to do. But check out Dr. Squatch as well. With the link down in the description below, you'll get free shipping on your soap subscription. They deliver soap, men's healthcare, and grooming products, as well as hand sanitizer now to your door with free shipping from the hardcover comic. Check out our Patreon as well if you're interested in the opportunity to win a hardcover comic, Omnibus, Absolute, multiple deluxe editions. The month of May, it will for sure be a brand new omnibus. Very exciting. Maybe Superman, Batman. We don't know. We don't know. It's very exciting. But check out the link down in the description below for more details on that. Stay safe, everyone. Thank you all for joining. This was Mike from the Hardcover Comic. You stay classy, Internet.